Gobbolino the witch's cat, and the name somehow suited him. He didn't look much like the main character in the book, but he was so scruffy he could easily have belonged to a witch at some time. A witch with a grooming aversion. Gobby walked with a limp, had a damaged eye that confused you as to which way it was looking, and he was the scrawniest animal she had ever seen. He had just appeared one day at the back door of the hall, scrounging for food in the bins, and she had taken pity on him. He had rubbed up against her, mewed sweetly, and then ravenously devoured the ham she gave him. Ever since that first day, when he had gone on to polish off a piece of chocolate cheesecake, he had kept coming back. Mostly at lunchtime, especially if fish was on the menu. "Looking like that is blackmail. Now shoo," Samantha ordered, waving an arm towards the street in front of them. Gobby didn't move, but continued to fix Samantha with a timid, downtrodden expression. "All right, come back later and I'll see what's left over." Happy with the response, as if he understood, Gobby turned his back on Samantha and sprinted off down the street in the direction of Andre's kebab shop. Samantha hoped he found some scraps and didn't end up skewered and on the menu. Pulling at her cold, ice-ridden hair, she went back behind the brick facade to sit down at the front desk. Woolston Civic Hall wasn't exactly the Prince of Wales Theatre. It was an old, rather dilapidated building, just far enough away from the bright lights and buzz of the West End to be completely missed by anyone who didn't know it was there. Samantha's parents had been regular visitors to the hall, attending shows ranging from slapstick comedy to opera and everything in between. It had been popular then, a centre for variety. It was a lot less popular now. Variety had taken a nosedive, and now people either wanted celebrity, lovey-darling musical theatre, or Shakespeare. The Civic Hall didn't attract that type of performance, and if it ever tried to, it would be putting itself in direct competition with the West End theatres, with little hope of winning. Samantha hadn't ever envisaged working in a box office. She had dropped into the hall during her lunch break, when she worked for Simpkins Shoes, on a mission to buy tickets for the ABBA tribute band. ABBA wasn't really her thing, but her elder sister Cleo loved anything that embraced the 70s. She loved all the big hair, shiny flares, and glitter balls. When Samantha arrived at the hall, the whole place was deserted. She had waited for a while, just to see if anyone appeared, passing the time by looking at a poster of Dual Eclipse, an illusionist act scheduled for the following week. And then the telephones had started ringing. No one appeared to take ownership of the situation, and when the incessant ringing got too much, Samantha decided to act. She had answered the first call and given someone directions, and on the second call, managing to navigate the computer system, she had sold 6 tickets to Puppetry of the Penis. After her timely intervention, Dave hadn't been able to get a name badge on her fast enough. She had started work at the hall 2 weeks later, and that was 5 years ago. 5 years of booking tickets for almost forgotten 80s pop stars, and 5 years of selling programmes and ice creams. Nothing had changed. Well, apart from a lick of paint in the foyer. It was called Weak Dream. Cleo thought that had sounded well dodgy. In the 5 years Samantha had been at the hall, Cleo had had 7 jobs, and twice as many boyfriends. At first, Samantha tried her best to remember their names, as she caught fleeting glances of them when their paths crossed, usually on their way from Cleo's bedroom to the bathroom. Then, after she mistook a Simon for a Steve, she decided enough was enough, and all any of them got now was a mumbled hello. Besides, she was quite sure none of them knew her name, or even Cleo's. Living with Cleo was an experience in itself. Her sister was as outgoing as Samantha was introvert. Everything about her shouted. Her clothes were bright and up to the minute, and she changed her appearance as often as she changed her men. Their mother called Cleo flighty. Samantha had always thought that was a bit of a put-down, but Cleo treated it almost as a compliment. Flighty to Cleo meant exciting and mysterious, someone who experienced all things with passion and pizzazz. In contrast, Samantha didn't know the first thing about being flighty, and she wasn't entirely sure she wanted to. Cleo lived her life at 100 miles an hour, whereas Samantha was content, chugging along in first gear.